The Secrets of Stargate is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, episode 46.
Janet West, Jackson has identified the seventh symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
And before we start, I'd like to tell listeners about another show on the SQPN network, Let's Science. Each week, Carolyn Knight, Lindsay Sant, and Lino Sobal explore a new wonder of our universe from a uniquely Catholic perspective. You can find Less Science on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you find fine podcasts. Today, we are discussing the fourth episode of Season 2, Legacy. You want to give us a rundown of this episode, Victor?
Sure. SG-1 explores an alien planet and comes across a sealed chamber with nine dead Goulds. So while they're there examining the dead Gould, Daniel feels something brush by him, and they seal up the chamber again and head home. It's not good for Daniel, though, because he gradually starts to go schizophrenic, I guess. So SG-1 does the only thing that they can do when a member of their team starts seeing Stargates in the closet and locks him up in the nut house. As Daniel's situation gets increasingly worse, SG-1 visits him and is shocked at just how nutty he's become. At some point, Teal'c brushes up against Daniel, and we, the audience, see something run into Teal'c, and Mama Cello's voice echoes in Daniel's head, saying, "Thank you for delivering me to the vile Gould." Back at the SGC, Teal'c starts getting very, very sick, and Daniel starts getting very, very sane. Eventually, they find out that Michello has put some earworms into the translation tablet that they found in the sealed up tomb, and these weird looking worm things go into Sam, Jack, and Dr. Frasier, and soon they start going insane, but Sam doesn't, because she has a unique protein marker which they extract from her blood and save the day. The end. I think that covers it
pretty much. Yeah. Got to say,
so now if you're crazy and you say you're not crazy, that's the only proof that you're crazy. So shouldn't you say, I am crazy, just not crazy in the way you think I'm crazy? Does that work?
Suppose.
It is not I who am crazy, it is I who am mad.
We're all mad here.
Quote Ren Hoek.
Yes. Nice. Whenever I hear the name Michello, I just think it's some sort of like Italian liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a caramello, the candy bar that you stretch it out. Maybe before your time.
Yeah, I don't know that one. So
nope.
Nice. What were your thoughts on this episode, Father?
This is, I mean, first of all, it's pretty clear this is meant to be a bottle episode, about as simple as, low energy as possible. It's not a bad episode. It really isn't. Kind of seeing the Daniel's changes and playing like he's crazy is kind of fun, kind of stereotypical. He definitely does kind of the stereotypical crazy man. Of course, you got to have the stereotypical padded room, because that's what you do. But it's not a bad episode. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, it was nice and succinct and didn't mess around a lot. It was good. What about you, Lisa?
She's frozen.
Yep. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, I agree with Father Cory and Lisa. it's a very good, self-contained episode. I think, it starts off, I think every science fiction show in the 90s did an episode where, one of the team members goes crazy, but they're not really crazy, but everybody thinks they're crazy. And the twist that it was actually, Michello's weird looking worm devices rather than, anything else, I think was a nice touch. Would have liked to learn more about the Limvris, the cadre of 9 dead Goulds that oppose the System Lords. Don't think they come back, and I think this might be the end of Michello in the show. I'm not sure. I can't recall.
Yeah, I was surprised that they came back because I feel like he's been referenced like once or twice other than that, but having him be like a plot arc was interesting.
Yeah, they also name checked the Ritu as well for the second episode in a row where it's not a Ritu.
I know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like every time they don't see something, they're going to assume it's a Ritu now.
What was that? It was a Ritu.
Yep. What about you, Lisa?
It was kind of a nice episode. Not spectacular, but not bad.
Mhm.
And it starts off as just a regular Planet of the Week, and then it ends up being a Earth-based episode. And I guess rewatching it, I take a little issue with, they just assume that he's crazy.
Mhm.
He's all of a sudden he's schizophrenic and not anything else wrong with him. But on the plus side, I thought it was nice that they let the others. Usually it's Richard Dean Anderson, Jack O'Neill, who does all the overacting crazy. He gets to do all the fun stuff, at least in the first 2 seasons. And this time, the others, Michael Shanks and even Janet Fraser got to show off their little, crazy spell. And meanwhile, Jack was just lying in a fetal position in the corner.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice that they kind of spread the wealth this time around, even though, I always liked, Jack acting a little crazy. So
Yeah. It's always fun to see people chew the scenery. I thought Michael Shanks did a good job, like, with his mental breakdown. Like, I think he did a good job portraying it in a way that was like appropriately hammy, but also subtle. Like, he did not go like way over the top. So I liked that.
And even when he was, quote, better, he still was a little off.
Yeah.
Well, it was like he was so full of, drugs that he's kind of like, I just need to get these drugs out of him. He looked stoned or drunk or something like that, because it's just like, I've got these drugs in me that's keeping me from being normal.
Yeah.
At least as normal as Daniel Jackson can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next episode, we get to a heart-wrenching episode of him breaking the addiction to the Thorazine or whatever they put him on. And no, we already did that episode, but
Nope.
yeah. Need part 2.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a season-long arc, and it's just going to be very depressing about Daniel being committed to a mental institution, because that's
He's
really
gonna have
what we want.
flashbacks. It's horrible. It's terrible. He's just constantly having flashbacks, and
The nice thing is that the Stargate gains sentience and talks about its feelings, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's the 2022 Stargate
Yep.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was a Peter DeLuise episode, and I feel like he does a really good job, like, just keeping the stories nice and tight and succinct, and you don't get a lot of extra fluff. It just kind of stays plot driven. So it kept me engaged the whole time, which I liked.
Yeah. And written by Tor Alexander Valenza, who wrote the other Michello episode. So when they did the flashbacks, they only had to credit the same writer who wrote this episode too. So
nice.
that part was nice too. And I really appreciate him giving us kind of the full house of SG-1 doctors here. We get all of them: Fraser, Mackenzie, and Warner, all in their element in this episode. So that was nice to see.
Well, and Warner, I wasn't a fan of, at least at first, because like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you don't have enough time for that. No, we can't let you out to do that. No. You're wasting time. You're wasting time. Oh, wait. Yeah. Now you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Dr. No.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you're wasting time. It's like, well, every other option has you said no to. This is something I can do. So it's not a waste of time, even if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
One of my kids goes, "Wait, isn't she in there with MacGyver?"
Yeah.
I think you should figure it
No,
out.
he's curled in the corner going crazy. So
Yeah. This is definitely an off week for Richard Dean Anderson, I feel like. Brought him in for his few scenes, but he didn't really do much. I do also like that scene where Daniel is hearing the call of the other Gould through his closet. He opens it up and it's just the Stargate right there. I was expecting eggs to start frying on his counter.
Yeah.
No, you just had creepy, dead guy creep reach out and grab him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the least convincing.
The Gould, attacking Jack while he's sitting there playing, was it cards or chess with him?
Yeah.
Just trying to be still and let him watch him, the Gould go into his neck.
I thought it was interesting that they were so resistant to closing down the Stargate program until they could figure out if it was gate travel that had caused what had happened to Daniel. Like they were completely just like, let's just keep going with it. And I feel like it's a pretty reasonable response to say, hey, let's take a step back and make sure this is not going to fry everyone's brain. So I thought that was funny.
That was a really interesting kind of plot twist of, could it be gate travel that's hurt? I mean, we haven't talked about that before.
Yeah.
Could this be hurting you? Turns out now we're all good, but it was a really good thought for a few minutes.
Yeah, they don't. I don't recall. I don't think they even really talk about it ever again. It's just kind of like, we're fine, we're good. It's no big deal to have our molecules scrambled and shot through the gate and reassembled on the other side. No big deal.
Oh, we just brought back another alien thing.
Yeah.
Service or whatever. Oh, we do that all the time. It's good.
Yep.
And at the beginning there, when they're going into that chamber with all the desiccated bodies, it's only when they see those they decide to put on their hazmat suits. And I feel like that should just be standard protocol. You should just wear those until you determine that it's safe.
And Jack even said, this is the not good smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's I think it's similar to if you notice in like the Marvel movies, Robert Downey Jr., every chance he gets, he takes his helmet off, even though that doesn't make sense when you're in the middle of a battle. It's because most of the time actors want to be able to have their face be seen.
Yep.
So
it would be good TV if they walked around in hazmat suits.
I wouldn't have bothered with the hazmat suits if I was writing or directing this, because they put it on and then it's just like these gas mask heads
Yeah. Well, and it's by that time it's too late, and when I did the hazmat training or the chemical warfare, but the NBC nuclear biological chemical training, what they taught you is as soon as you realize there's a threat, you breathe out and put it on. But the threat is a bomb just exploded or a missile just hit the ground and there might be something in it. So you want to breathe out before that gas gets to you, not when you've been in the room for 5 minutes. Too late then.
I feel like early on there was an episode where they were wearing like basically NASA spacesuits. I feel like you'd want something like that for any time you went anywhere, like a full environmental suit that's going to protect you from anything. Although, as we see later on in the episode, these little hot glue gun looking slugs can go through gloves, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Of course, and that's allegedly with the MALP, right? That's supposed to measure the air and what you're breathing and check for gases and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably the rationale they would use, that they didn't have to put on all that stuff to go through.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about the NASA suit. Yeah, they went to that planet that was completely void of any atmosphere.
Right. So yeah, that's where that comes in. I do like how they talk about, and we get this not just in this episode, but throughout the show, where SG-1 is just like the vanguard team that goes in and makes like a first contact or a first survey of the place, and then they send in the specialized teams to deal with whatever specific thing they need. Like they mentioned in this episode that they're going to send in the medical team to get the bodies, and I like that they have that kind of delineation. I feel like a lot of times in shows like this, you get these groups that everyone is an expert in everything. Like in Star Trek, like every single person is good at whatever the plot calls for, and I like that you get more specialization here.
Exactly. Oh, did you notice the special guest star in this episode? The reanimated Limvris, played by Clint Howard.
Oh,
was that really Clint Howard?
No, I just made that up. Sorry.
Oh, darn it. You got me excited. It's like, that'd be awesome.
I'm trying to stretch this out a little bit here.
Yeah, no,
Actually, it was probably Michael Shanks again. I mean,
Yeah, it probably was.
he
Yeah.
plays like everything.
Well, if you look at IMDb, they really 8 people in the cast are listed. That's it.
Yep.
Think
Yeah.
about how small a cast that is for an hour show.
yeah.
Well, it's looking at this Stargate wiki, and there's 9 lists, and yeah, one of them is Michael Shanks as both him as Daniel Jackson and Michello for the little, the little snippet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it.
We don't even get gate technician number 3, when the gate's dialing and Daniel's like looking at it. You really could have used somebody there saying, I guess you did hear them, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. But you don't actually see them on screen.
Mhm.
So
Right.
this is a very inexpensive episode, I think, because you just need, like you said, a little silicone caulk for the worms, and you're,
Well, that's
Can we talk about how gross that was?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
gross. It was so gross that they had to show us like all 11 worms coming out of people's heads. It's like, okay, just say like, okay, all the worms are out of you. We only need to see it like 2 or 3 times. We don't need to see.
now, Victor. Actually,
Right.
if we don't see every worm come out, that means they're still infected. You should know that.
On that note, apparently it has been pointed out online that even though Sam has 4 worms come out of her ear, you only see 3 enter her glove. So that is a huge
They
opportunity.
duplicated.
Back in season 11.
One of the worms was riding piggyback on one of the other worms.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
It's like an answer to a riddle. It's
Yeah.
like 3 worms go into the SG-1 doctor, but 4 come out. How is this possible?
Yeah.
I do like that they give us that the whole like traveling through the skin effect, where it gets like you get the raised bump moving through the skin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That always makes me think of in The Mummy when the guy's got all the scarabs inside him.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, there was a lot of tropes in this. There was the whole like I see dead people thing. They don't know that they're dead.
I'm not
the
really
poltergeist-
crazy, even though
Yeah.
I'm not crazy, but I really am, or I am. You think I'm crazy, but I'm not, and
Yeah, Daniel Jackson like chopping down the door with the axe, saying, "Here's Danny." References to the poltergeist we mentioned, and One Flew Over the Tok'ra's Nest.
yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Did there like the rebel Gould cannot remember the name.
Limbris.
Limbris. So there were 9 of them, and they were dead, but also undead. I feel like we could refer to them as the Nazgul. See that 9?
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
of course, you got to have the science major, that can do all the stuff she's never done before, but somehow can figure it out well enough, through guidance to get the shot done without killing them due to incompatible blood.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example of Carter saves the day episode, right? Under pressure.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
With an assist from Dr. Frazier, of course.
Yes.
Crazy Dr. Frazier.
Centrifuge.
Nice. What's I gonna say?
I like how they give the page turning device a Stargate acronym. They call or abbreviation. They call it the PTD. Dr. Frazier does. So
Yeah.
even
Oh,
though
that's
it's this
funny.
alien technology, they've only
Oh, yeah,
encountered
the-
twice. They're already referring to it as the PTD.
And I don't think we ever see it again.
No.
Yeah.
It's like a-
So I think that was probably a Peter DeLuise addition because he loves to give everything the abbreviations.
Nice.
Well, it's military.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
You can't get anything done in the military without a TLM, a 3-letter acronym.
Yep.
TLA. I didn't get it wrong. Darn it. TLA.
Without the Latin mass.
Yeah,
Without the Latin
that's what I
mass.
was thinking of. Without the Latin.
Yeah.
mass, no, TLA, 3-letter acronym. Military doesn't work without it.
Nice.
Yep.
I like that how inefficient that device is. It seems like it's a Kindle, like it's got like some sort of frozen screen technology, and he's trying to turn the page, and it's like, can they not just put a button on it? Why do you got to use this oversized like opal thing? I mean, obviously for
Yeah.
plot reasons because it's full of worms,
It's an
but
alien device.
yeah. This is an example of overly complicated, unintuitive alien tech that you see a lot of the times in sci-fi.
Did appreciate all the Stargate prop photos on Sam's PC. though that they flip through.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of neat. It's like go to the prop room, take photos of the old props, and we'll load them on up.
Stuff.
Make sure to get the Michello, body swapping device, and we're good.
When they showed it, you kind of expect them to go, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah. I was watching it with our 9-year-old, and he's like, "Wait a minute, how come the pages are scrolling left and right, but the scroll bars are vertical?"
Oh.
I was like, I didn't notice that, but I'll put that in the episode because there's not much else to talk about.
I'll have to pull out my old Windows 95 computer and see if I can replicate that program on there.
Well, that's just like a modern photo program or whatever, or you got to the website and you can scroll back and forth, but if it doesn't show the bottom of it, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
True. I do like how they immediately jump to he's schizophrenic and don't really investigate any of the other things. Like they take reasonable precautions in terms of shutting down the Stargate program until they can determine the effects, but they just jump straight to pumping him up with sedatives and throwing him in a padded room without really investigating it all. And I feel like at this point, like they have like that gold healing device. Like I feel like you should just do like a preemptive run over anybody if they start seaming off.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, now that we know that Sam can handle it, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like running glare utilities or something on your PC. It just like run the speed up my PC program first, and then you can, find out what's really broken.
Exactly.
You do that with the Gould device. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't even. It couldn't be something we just encountered, right? They're putting on hazmat suits and talking about contamination. They get back and they're not like, oh, well, maybe something was there. Daniel says something brushed by him. Well, I know. It was a little much. But they tend to do that. If you think about how many of these episodes they do that on, that they just like, oh, well, you're crazy, or we don't believe you, or to the one. If it tends to only be one of the four that's infected with whatever, you just don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like when he's in the room and he's talking to Dr. McKenzie. Dr. McKenzie is very incredulous. He's like, "So you think an alien device is in your brain making you go crazy?" And it's like they have like a portal where they can travel across the universe and encounter all sorts of weird aliens. Like, is that really that far-fetched for where you are?
An alien device took him to a parallel universe. An alien device, alien device injected, like all the knowledge of the ancients into Jack's brain. Yeah, this is a possibility.
Yeah. We were all robots for a day and a half, and none of you noticed.
Yeah. It's like they have to have it's like plot-driven amnesia or like just being obtuse.
We've already run into everything out there in the universe. This can't be something new. It has to be schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And because 50% of the people who go through the Stargate have headaches. And what's the percentage of the wider population that has regular headaches?
Right.
Probably about 50%.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably also a high-stress job. I think headaches would be like pretty typical.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a lot of sleep when they're on a mission.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
Plus the flashing lights and just that screeching noise that the gate makes. That would give me a headache if I had to do that for my job.
Yeah.
Although I have to say the sound design in this episode was kind of all over the place. You had the scary, atmospheric, like horror movie noises. And then it's probably my favorite, like Stargate sound effect is when they show Cheyenne Mountain, the external view, and then they have a hawk screeching in the background. I'm like, okay, we get that it's outdoors. You could have like trucks driving by or something.
Well, it's supposed to be out in the middle of nowhere, so having hawks screech would be appropriate. Although I don't ever hear hawks screeching. We have hawks around here, but anyways,
Yeah.
So have we stretched enough?
Stretched it, yeah.
Is this a retcon where they say like they're like, well, how come Jack doesn't have the protein marker? And it's like, well, Hathor's Gould left Jack before she took over. And I don't, did we see the Gould come out of Jack?
No.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so
we
Tucker told us that the Gould hadn't had time to take over yet. So it should just die.
Yeah.
But so I mean, they didn't say though that it had left it, but because all we see is Jack getting sealed in the coffin and then next thing we know, he's fine. But yeah, it's that's right. I mentioned that. I wrote that down too. It's like now they explain why he doesn't have the marker, that it didn't die within him because it panicked and left him, apparently, which means he should have 2 marks now on the back of his head.
Or it just did. I guess it didn't die. Yeah, it didn't die because it came out. But yeah, I don't know. It's I guess they put that in there just because fans are going to be asking about that if they did not address it. So at least they had enough foresight to address that.
People like us.
Exactly. I do also wonder if, like, as part of like whatever inoculation cocktails they give to these people who have to go to these different planets, do they just roll that protein in there so everyone's got it?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, since they have it isolated now or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they can isolate it now. Yeah.
To the list.
I would also.
So we got to give you measles, mumps, rubella. We got to give you tetanus. We got to give you the gold protein marker. We got to give you. Eventually, we'll get the ancient gene.
Ancient genes, the nanobots, the Pegasus Galaxy nanobots. Yeah. These are in nanobots.
Do you have to get a booster for any of those?
Not the nanobots.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the gene, maybe the protein marker that might get flushed out of your system eventually.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so here's a question I just thought of. So if this device kills the Gould, but not the host, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that have been kind of a nice tool to keep?
That's what I was about to say. Like, are they going to keep these little slugs and stuff?
Well, they've got more of them.
Yeah,
they've got more of them because we saw a whole rack of them on on one of the pictures. So
this definitely comes up again.
Sure.
It'd be cool if they could like load them into a shotgun or something and make a slug gun or something. Slugs out of a shotgun,
like a pea shooter.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Here, shake my hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only if it's Ricardo Montalban chewing the scenery while he puts it into your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what we need.
City Alpha 5.
Yeah.
But or they could just drop them out of airplanes, like on a Gould planet, just like drop slugs.
You use the drones. Yeah, there you go. Use the drones.
But you got to color it in a red, like powder, so it looks like a big cloud covering the planet. Like on B.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I blocked that part out of my mind.
And they should
Yeah.
They should change the Michello quote that you hear too. Like it could just be like, drink cola brand now, or something, or like wear shoes. Advertising. Yeah, sponsor the Michello messages. Yeah. Listen to the secrets of Stargate on SQPN.
Yeah.
This genocide.
This Gould killing. This Gould killing worm brought to you by SGC.
Yeah. And viewers like you.
Yeah.
It does make me just thinking of like some sort of like water balloon full of those slugs. When I was a kid, we lived out in the country in Kentucky, and we had a huge problem with June bugs. And we had these like traps that they would fly into this big bag and get caught in there and live in there. So like we'd have these stakes around the fields where they had these big like plastic bags full of June bugs, and they were like writhing, and it was just creepy.
Ew.
So I feel like you take one of those and just wing it at the Gould, but it's full of slugs.
Yeah.
So there's a little nightmare fuel if anyone needs that.
Yeah.
Catch.
And thus the plot for Bane was born.
Nice.
No one's mentioned Amanda Tapping had a nice new haircut in this episode.
I didn't notice, to be honest.
I didn't like that. It was a little shorter. It was real cute.
I was too distracted by Dr. Fraser's fan service in this one. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, Lisa, you've got 3 guys and you.
Yeah.
What are the odds we're going to notice her haircut?
I know. That's why I bring it up.
Especially with Dr.
There you go.
Fraser in
That's
the
your
scene,
job.
yeah.
So
Dr. Fraser had the obligatory, it's hot in here. I got to take my shirt off.
yeah, exactly.
It's getting hot in here.
Jack?
I've got worms inside my skull. And a little bit of slugs in my brain.
Beautiful. I feel like that needs to be one of the covers we get at the end of the show.
Yeah. So are we monetized yet with this thing, or how does that work?
Yeah.
mean, if we're not at this point, we might as well jump on that.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Did y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
No, I think we pretty well, at least I think I pretty well covered it.
Yeah.
Well, I did like Jack in the as he's waiting for Daniel to wake up, he's sitting there playing with the IV bag, the saline bag.
Right.
I noticed he was doing that a couple times throughout the episode, just like fiddling with things. Because there's a part where he's in the room with when Teal'c is sick, and he's got like a cup, and you can't really see because it's not HD and it's pretty grainy, but it looks like he's got like a water cup, and he's just like sticking his fingers in it and like stirring it around. I wonder, was he just like really checked out during filming these episodes? He's like, I'm just gonna mess around with things.
Probably. Day could be fishing or even golfing, and they got me. It's sitting in an infirmary here. Just
Yep.
Of course, we also like that he apologized in advance for saying anything.
Oh yes.
But then he was completely silent. So.
Yeah, he just checked out once he was down.
Yeah.
It is a little late, but I too would like to apologize in advance for anything I may say or do that could be construed as offensive as I slowly go nuts.
Oh, too late, Victor.
Yep.
I know.
You're already nuts.
Stay late and $1 short. Need to send me to the nut hatch, the loony bin, the giggle factory.
Oh, no.
I don't know, that padded room did look comfortable.
Yeah. Funny farm, that's it.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. We do have some feedback on our episode 1969. Paul Leone on YouTube comments, I was waiting for this one and did not disappoint. This was the first episode of SG-1 that I ever saw. I was channel surfing in my college dorm room one Saturday night and came across this. I think I'd seen the Stargate movie by then, but I had no idea that the show even existed. The plot of this episode probably wasn't the best as far as an entry into the show goes, since it hardly has anything to do with the SG-1 meta plot, but I was still hooked and tuned back in every week after that. It's still one of my favorite sentimental favorites, and I'm glad you all liked it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best kind of episode to get into to a show like this. Like if you jump in a really lore heavy episode that's tied up with all like the different plots you have going on, it can be hard to get into that. So like a nice fun standalone episode is usually the best way to get into something like this.
Yeah, well that's we've talked on Secrets of Doctor Who about what are good episodes to introduce, and one Jimmy talks about is Blink, which is does not have much of anything of the Doctor or his companion at the time. It's something different. Yeah, Victor's staring at an angel right now.
Don't blink. Whatever you do, don't blink.
But but it's one of those episodes that it's just a good standalone episode that can help you. And 1969 is very much like that. It's just a fun standalone episode. You get to see the humor of the series, definitely.
Yeah,
it's kind of representative of what the series is about.
Which is why it's such a good one to just put on whenever you just want like a dose of Stargate, but don't want to have to jump in the middle of some war or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I feel the same way about the Take Me Out to the Holosuite episode of Deep Space Nine. Really doesn't have anything to do with the larger plot, but it's just fun and enjoyable. And I think this episode kind of fits that same thing too. But you also get a lot of the characterization here. So it gives you a good intro into the characters and the general tone of the show, where it's science fiction, but it's not very dour. It's more fun. So yeah, I definitely like it. It's been one of my favorites so far.
Good.
Awesome. And before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Neil P., Rhonda M., Meg P., Devin T., and George and Wanda. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give, and be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, Learning Curve. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Well, thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And remember, gate travel may be hazardous to your health.
It's a good thing to keep in mind. And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?